In this tutorial, we'll look at AWS IAM, Identity and Access Management, for beginners. IAM is a core AWS service that helps you securely control access to your AWS resources. AWS IAM, Identity and Access Management, is a service that helps you securely manage access to your AWS resources by controlling users, groups, roles, and policies. A user represents an individual or application that needs access to AWS, while a group is a collection of users that share the same permissions, making it easier to manage access at scale. A role is used to grant temporary access to users or services without sharing long-term credentials, often used by applications or AWS services. Policies are sets of rules written in JSON that define what actions are allowed or denied on specific resources. Together, these components allow you to control who can access your AWS environment and what they are allowed to do in a secure and organized way. To get started with AWS IAM, the first step is to create an AWS account by signing up on the AWS website. Once your account is set up, log in as the root user, which is the account owner and has full access to all AWS services. After logging in, it's important not to use the root user for everyday tasks. Instead, navigate to the IAM service and create your first IAM user. This user will represent a person or application that needs access to AWS, and you can assign specific permissions to it. Creating IAM users helps improve security by limiting access and following best practices instead of relying on the root account. First, type IAM into the search bar in the AWS Management Console and click on the IAM service to open it. This will take you to the IAM dashboard, where you can manage users, groups, roles, and policies for your AWS account. Step 1. Create an IAM user. To create an IAM user, go to the IAM dashboard in the AWS Management Console and click on Users. Then, select Create User. Let's enter a name for the user called Noah Smith. Choose the AWS Management Console. Create a custom password with 8-character long and at least 3 of the following mix of character types: uppercases, lowercase, numbers, and symbols. Uncheck the users must create a new password at next sign in. Click Next to continue. Leave the permissions set to the default option and click Next to continue. Review your choices carefully, then click Create User to finish. After the user is created, you'll be able to view and download the auto-generated password if you enabled console access. Make sure to save these credentials securely, as you will need them for the user's first login. Step 2. Create IAM groups. To create an IAM group, go to the IAM dashboard in the AWS Management Console and click on User Groups, then select Create Group. And enter a name for the group that reflects its purpose, such as admins. Next, add the user's Noah Smith to the group. Next, choose the permissions you want to assign to the group by attaching policies that define what actions the users in the group are allowed to perform. For example, by selecting Administrator Access, you grant full administrative permissions to the group. After selecting the appropriate policies, click Create Group to finish. IAM groups help you manage permissions more easily by applying the same access rules to multiple users at once. Step 3. Create IAM roles. To create an IAM role, go to the IAM dashboard in the AWS Management Console and click on Roles, then select Create Role. Choose the type of trusted entity that will use the role, such as an AWS service. For the use case, choose EC2 to allow an Amazon EC2 instance to assume the role. This is commonly used when you want your EC2 instances to securely access other AWS services without needing to store access keys. Click Next to continue. For Add Permissions, click on the Amazon EC2 Container Registry Full Access and Amazon EC2 Container Registry Power User to provide full access and administrative permissions for EC2 instances. This allows the role to perform all actions related to EC2 without restrictions. Enter the role name Admin EC2 Access. After selecting the required permissions, review your settings and click Create Role to finish. This role can then be assigned to AWS services or users who need secure, limited access. Step 4. Create IAM policies. IAM policies are JSON documents that define what actions are allowed or denied on specific AWS resources. Using policies allows you to follow the principle of least privilege, giving only the permissions necessary for a user or service to perform their tasks. To create a policy, go to the IAM dashboard and click on Policies, then select Create Policy. Choose the service you want to select policy for, in this case EC2 instance. Then select the access level for list, read, write, permission management, and tagging. Leave the rest as default and click Next to continue. Add a policy name such as EC2 policy, then scroll down and click Create Policy. After submitting, your policy will be successfully created and will be available to attach to users, groups, or roles as needed. You have successfully completed the AWS IAM setup. At this point, you have created a user, set up and group, created and role, and configured policies. These components work together to help you securely manage access to your AWS resources and follow best security practices.